What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Z-Man Show. It is Sunday, and so we are watching episode 15 of The Walking Dead, season 10, and it's called The Tower. And it's interesting. I think tonight's episode was a definite filler kind of episode heading towards that big finale that we're going to see, but obviously we're not going to see it for several months to come here. So we got a chance to see a little bit more about the princess, and clearly she's a bit whacked out. The isolation, she's been on her own. I am very interested to know a little bit more about why her city was not so infested with walkers. I mean, it's a major metropolis areas, right? So you'd figure there'd be more zombies around, unless just over time she's just been taking them out, or they've moved on into other areas as there's no people left to mess with, or eat for that matter. So maybe that's what happened to the princess for that matter. And I think her name was Juanita. I think I got that right. Correct me if I'm wrong. That was another thing about tonight's episode. I mean, we were downstairs and we didn't have the volume up terribly loud, but it was kind of hard to hear some of the parts, and mainly around Beta's, his cryptic zombie speak, whatever, as he was walking along, and clearly he is totally losing it too. So I don't know if this season's a little bit more focused around like insanity and how it takes a hold of us, and whether you're a nut job to begin with, or if just over time with isolation and Beta's, how the way he changed. He went from being a country rock singer to being a total nut job, right? And following Alpha, and now he's on his quest, to kill those who killed his Alpha. And there's a lot going on in this episode. Again, I felt like it was just kind of tying up these little filler aspects as we head to that ending. Just on Beta for a moment, I'm enjoying his super creepy vibe and his crazed moments, because this dude, he has one thing in mind, and you can totally tell he's ready to kill. And so he's been gathering his horde. He got it together pretty quickly, mind you. Maybe a little bit of time went by, because we noticed that Negan was already back with the crew. They're hanging out at some hospital, right? And it apparently smells like cat pee, according to Judith. So I guess animals have overrun some of these areas and just kind of hanging out. So I don't know. This episode, I'm just trying to wrap my head around some of it, just because I'm just not so sure. It wasn't one of the strongest episodes, I don't think, this season. Although, the princess character is very interesting, but like to my wife, she just thought she was just super annoying. To me, I thought she's interesting because she's just different than the norm that we're used to. But a part of me can't help but just think to myself, like, man, she just seems like a liability. Like, this could be real big time trouble. I mean, you saw how she led Yumiko and Eugene and Ezekiel into that minefield, which, again, an interesting dilemma, as she tries to lead them out. And I know she didn't really mean to. She just wanted to spend time with them. That's all it was. She's lonely as hell. Like she said, she didn't even know if they were real at first. She's just trying to play it out in her head. So we had like a little like Castaway meets like I Am Legend style. She's just trying to find herself, and now that she's found people, she doesn't want to let go. Okay, I get that. And but talk about clarification. I mean, she's going to lead them to a place that she has wheels, all kinds of wheels, right? Here we're thinking, parking lots full of cars, this and that. She sends them to a damn bike shop, or not, or a big old locker full of bikes and whatnot. So, Eugene looks at the bright side, a 15-mile-an-hour improvement over their walking pace. Okay, this is true. And in the end, Yumiko, I think she feels for Princess and decides to ask her to come along. Again, I think this is a huge liability. I think this is going to come back to bite them somehow. Oh, maybe literally. I don't know. But I guess we'll see how this plays out. She's an interesting character. I want to know a little bit more about her. But I'll have to see how this plays out. It's just a weird way of how they brought this character into play, especially at the end of the season. So, what does she have to offer, or what's she going to bring their way? It'll be something. So, anyways, getting off of that, so we had Beta, we saw the princess. How about we saw that Lydia basically made it back to the group, and she is trying to deal with the loss of her mom, right? And Negan, he is a selfish asshole, no doubt, and he was doing this. We know. She called him out. She said, you were doing this just so you could look like the hero. Lydia called it out perfectly, and he knew it was true. But he's trying to help her heal I was trying to think about myself, like, does she hate her mom so much that she loved her, or is it the other way, like loved her so much that she hated her? I think it's a mixture between the two, but I'm sure she knows overall it's good that she's gone, but it doesn't fill the void in her heart, probably all the memories of the good things and times that they had. My only thought is, though, I mean, she was so young when this all happened. You almost figured that she's had more evil times than good times. So you figure that the good times would just be trumped straight over. But I can at least relate a little bit about the whole, even though your parent is kind of a jackass or evil, that you just can't help but still love them and hope that they're going to be different one day. We have some friends, and this one friend in particular, no matter how their mom acts and what they do to this person, they can't help but try to forgive them and find a way. They never want to hear advice. They're just like, no, I mean, it'll be all right in the end, which it never is. So, I understand the writing and where they brought Lydia's, her thoughts around her mother, Alpha. So it sucks to see Lydia going through it, but I mean, she had to know this was going to come, right? I know that doesn't make it any easier. The loss of a parent never is good, but yeah, she's just gonna have to get over this one. So I mean, at the end, it was kind of cool though to see Negan kind of grasp onto her and just kind of, I mean, it was your total cliche, like, oh, I hate you, whatever, and grabs on. But it was cool that it was actually Negan who did that. I mean, when has this guy ever really given a shit about anybody but himself? But he does. He cares for the kids. He really cares for Judith, and he cares for Lydia. I think he can relate to her in some ways, and he wants to see her not hurt so much, right? So it was kind of cool to see him grab on it, because he was getting teary-eyed too. I was like, wow, this is kind of a moment right here. So anyways, but as we move to the end of the episode, we see, again, with all that cryptic speech, see, that's why I'm going to dock this episode a little bit, because I really wanted to know what he was saying. And yes, I realize it's gargled and it's the whisper style or whatever, but we had to watch those parts a second time, and I had to turn on captions just so I knew what they were saying. And he kept saying the word faith a lot. Faith, reward, and like trust in your strength. You notice the one guardian who called out and says, we trust in your wisdom, we follow the alpha. And then she goes, I mean beta. she changed that so quickly as he turned around and started looking at her and started pulling that knife, and his craziness took back over, I guess probably knowing that he didn't need to lose any more people at this point in time. But just tell him to keep moving on, to have faith or whatever. But I don't know if it's that he doesn't want to hear Alpha's name anymore now that he has taken control, because she said we follow the alpha. Well, his name is Beta. He doesn't want to be resorted to as the alpha. He is Beta. So I don't know if that's what triggered him and pissed him off so much. I'm guessing that's what it is. But yeah, that whole faith thing, and the way he just kept saying faith over and over, well, between the zombies. And so I figure that has something to do with basically have faith in yourself. You know what you're doing, you know what to look for. And that's when he started looking around. He saw the broken twigs. He saw the cat come across the road. I mean, these are, again, very small things, but as a tracker, I mean, these might be signs of people that may have crossed that way. That's probably a far stretch, but the idea that trust in yourself. But he started seeing through the BS. And somebody help me understand what Aaron and Enid's boyfriend, and I still forget that dude every time. Even though I looked it up last time, I still forget his name. I'll put it here in the comments when I'm going. But they're following them just to make sure that they're actually on track. And it's at one point they finally stop. They're changing directions. This is when Beta is starting to become wise to what's going on, and they get surrounded. So I mean, those two got to be screwed, right? Except I saw in the next scenes, it looked like they were running around and doing some killing and so forth. So I don't know. I don't think everybody's going to make it out of this finale, which again is not going to be for several months to come. We're going to have to see what this virus does to this whole TV network thing and the production. I mean, everything's been halted. Even my series has been halted. I'm editing my episode 7, but after that, I guess I just got to hang tight just until things get better. So I'm not trying to say, oh, woe is me. I'm just saying that we just all have to wait and see how this is going to play out. So I almost forgot to talk about 2 other scenes that I thought were kind of important in tonight's episode that are worth mentioning. And one of them included Judith as she went out on her own, and she ended up finding her way to Daryl. And Daryl's kind of like, go home, whatever. But I saw some serious defiance in Judith tonight. So obviously she's acting out. She knows that her mom is not going to be coming home for a very long time, maybe never at all. So that's got to be weighing hard on Judith, and how a young kid would be able to cope with that. I don't know. I mean, obviously she's probably hoping for the best, just knowing Judith's style. But anyways, you could see that kind of backlash a little bit at Daryl when he's like, I want you to go home. I want you to go back. And she's like, no, I don't want to. And so he decides to take her along, kind of shows some stuff about tracking or whatever. They end up finding that small little group of, 5 or 6, give or take, walkers kind of making their way through the forest, and one in the front leading them was definitely a whisperer, or a former whisperer for all that matter. And Daryl puts off a sweet shot into the upper shoulder, almost neck area. Missed that headshot. I don't know, Daryl. He's slipping a little bit, but maybe he didn't want to kill him. Maybe he wanted to get information, and that makes a lot more sense now that I think about it. He did want to get information because, as we saw, they were able to track this whisperer down, and the whisperer's begging not to kill her, so that she wants to come back and walk again. So it doesn't sound like she had lost a true whisperer faith, but she definitely did not want to follow Beta. She says he's gone, he's lost it, and Daryl was trying to get more information out, and he said, maybe I'll pull that arrow out. Let me hear what you have to say first. And no, Daryl didn't. He ended up ending it right, nice and easy, quick headshot, and just as quick as he was able to do that, I know that he missed purposely when he shot her in that upper shoulder area. He just wanted to wound that whisperer so he could get more information. So we found out that the Beta's heading towards Ocean side now. And I'm trying to remember how they knew even about Oceanside, but I guess the Whisperers are in the know about a lot of things going on with our friends. And there was also a little bit of backlash I saw with Judith when basically they left that Whisperer in the ditch. And she was a woman, and it didn't sit well with her. And she ends up bringing it up again towards the end of the episode. And what if she had a family, this and that? I'm like, Judith, see, this is the child we're seeing, and the way they think, and not thinking like a grown person, especially one who's survived as long as Daryl has in the apocalypse. I mean, he's cold for sure, but it's for a reason, and you stay alive that way. And I don't think Judith has fully learned this yet. I mean, she's seen the loving care of a mother and a father, and a little brother, and although seeing other people die around her, and although she has a certain coldness, she doesn't fully get it. So I thought that was a nice little way of kind of showing that child side of her, and wanting to go bury her and this and that. So that was one part. The other part I want to talk about was also Carol and Kelly's conversation in the car. So I think Luke needed them to run an errand for some extra parts or whatever. I think he's trying to fix the radio and this and that or whatever. And so Kelly decides to go with Carol. So that's a bit odd, right? I mean, Carol's pretty much more or less the reason that Connie is currently still missing and or dead. But we haven't seen her die on screen, so there's a good chance that she's still alive out there. But Kelly ends up having to forgive Carol more or less in this episode, which I know some people we talked about this a little bit last week, having the strength to forgive people when they've done you major wrong, and I guess it's the only way to push through. I don't know. It just sounds like it would be a lot. It'd be a lot to take that on, but I don't want to have that hanging on your heart. And I think she understands Carol, and that's another reason why she forgave her. She understands why she's lived this long. What'd she say? I heard stories about the lone wolf back in the olden days, and how he would just go off and do what had to be done. And, that was interesting, and it's very true about Carol. Although I slipped for a moment kind of writing Carol off in some ways, but it's true. It's who she is. But I'm telling you, you can't just go off doing whatever you want to do and risk all the lives of your people just because in the name of vengeance or anything else. So Carol's going to have to get that shit under wraps, or, that's going to be the end of her for sure. I mean, hell, she got booted out once before, right? Rick told her to leave and pretty much don't come back. She ended up coming back and saving their asses. I think that was around the Terminus days, if I'm not mistaken. But, hopefully this doesn't hurt Carol's standing. But it looks like she's going to be accepted back in, of course. But we'll have to see how the rest of this plays as hopefully we see Connie in the future. Hopefully she's not captured or he gets some kind of execution style. I don't know. There could be some crazy stuff coming up. So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode tonight. Again, not the strongest episode. I think it was creepy in a lot of ways. There's just some things like, again, being able to hear, and also the way they were jumping around in some of the pieces. It took us a few seconds at times to understand, okay, where are we at? And I think that could have been a little bit better direction. I can't say exactly how, and I don't want to get into it all, but that's why I'm docking some of this. So I'm actually giving tonight's episode a 7 out of 10. I think the princess character is interesting. I think she's a talented actress. I have to understand a little bit more about where this is kind of going, and how she's going to become a part of either our group, or is she going to become more troublesome than it's worth? It remains to be seen. So I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Make sure to like and subscribe. I know I'm kind of rambling a little bit tonight. It's just I just felt this episode was just kind of all over in some ways. Make sure to leave a comment if you thought the same, or if you just really, really loved it. Maybe you love the character and you love where this is going to end out. Clearly, some kind of crazy slaughterhouse is going to go down at this emergency hospital, and hopefully our friends can make it out. I saw a couple scenes from next time where they're, I guess they have like zombie kind of clothing on, and kind of as camouflage. So hopefully some of the groups are going to make it out. But Daryl makes a comment like, not all of us are making it out. I think that goes without saying. There's definitely going to be some death in the finale. So we will see what happens when it comes. Until then, guys, I guess we're going to go on hiatus for a while. Look out for some other videos. I've been watching a lot of B flicks, and some other ones are just kind of obscure. I might try and get out here and try and give some reviews for them, or at least give recommendations if you guys are looking for some cool virus flicks or obscure zombie flicks even. There's this kind of goofy one I watched the other day called VFW. Anyways, I might get into that one later, but if you want to hear more about that, let me know in the comments. I'll make sure to get out here and give you guys some suggestions. Okay. So until the next time, this is Mike with the ZMM Show, and stay safe and stay well. I'll talk to you guys next time. See ya.